Imagine walking into a laboratory where neuroscientists are scanning a human brain. They ask the subject to think about themselves in the present moment, and a specific highly active region of the brain lights up on the screen. Then, they ask the subject to think about an absolute stranger, someone they have never met and never will meet. A completely different cold region of the brain lights up. Finally, they ask the subject to think about themselves 10 years in the future. The screen flickers and the exact same cold, detached region lights up. Your brain does not recognize your future self as you. To your neural circuitry, the version of you that will exist next year, or even next month, is a complete stranger. This deep neurological divide is the exact biological blind spot that the debt industry has spent decades weaponizing. You are not trapped in debt because you lack self-control. You are trapped because your brain is biologically designed to exploit your future self to buy temporary comfort today. Every time you sign a contract, swipe a credit card, or click a button for a deferred payment, you are not performing a simple financial transaction. You are executing a highly sophisticated chemical trade. Your brain experiences what behavioral psychologists call delayed consequence anesthesia. Because the physical exchange of resources is delayed, the brain is chemically incapable of registering the pain of the transaction. You get the immediate, highly intense dopamine release of owning a new asset today, while the burden of paying for it is entirely outsourced to a stranger, your future self. This is why the debt economy has grown into a multi-trillion-dollar monster. It is built entirely on the systematic exploitation of this human neurological flaw. The modern consumer landscape has evolved far beyond traditional credit cards. The system has introduced frictionless, micro-debt tools designed to bypass your psychological defense mechanisms altogether. Services that allow you to split minor everyday purchases into several small installments have successfully normalized the act of borrowing for trivial consumer goods. We no longer just borrow for houses or education, we borrow for clothing, dinners, and weekend entertainment. This has created a profound state of cognitive exhaustion, where your mental processing power is constantly occupied by an endless stream of microscopic payment deadlines. You are constantly running just to stay in the exact same place, trapped in a continuous loop of paying for past experiences that have already lost their chemical novelty. To understand why this trap is so incredibly difficult to escape, we must look at what your brain is doing here. The human brain possesses a deep evolutionary cognitive bias known as the Endowment Effect. This bias dictates that we naturally overvalue things the moment we feel a sense of ownership over them. When a credit institution grants you a $10,000 credit limit, your primitive survival mechanisms do not register this limit as a liability or a temporary loan. They register it as an immediate expansion of your actual, physical territory. Your brain treats the credit limit as wealth that you already possess. This triggers a powerful neurological desire to protect and utilize this perceived abundance, driving you to spend up to the boundary of the limit simply to avoid the feeling of underutilizing your resources. Take out your pencil. Let's look at the numbers. Imagine you purchase a high-end device for $1,200 using a modern deferred payment platform, spreading the cost over 12 seemingly harmless monthly installments with a standard high-interest rate. To your primitive brain, 48 hours after the purchase, the device is already old news, and the excitement has entirely faded. But let's write down the real mathematical reality of this transaction. Over the course of the next year, with the added interest and fee structures, you will end up paying nearly $1,500 for a product that has already lost its utility. More importantly, if you earn $25 an hour after taxes, that $1,200 purchase actually represents 60 full hours of your life energy. You have traded a full week and a half of your labor, your finite, non-renewable time on this earth, to a financial institution just to experience a brief 48-hour chemical spike. You are not paying with paper, you are paying with your mortal existence, systematically selling off the seconds of your future to finance the illusions of your present. The psychological toll of this cycle is what behavioral economists call debt-induced cognitive load. Every outstanding balance you owe represents an open loop in your subconscious mind. Your brain is a highly efficient processing machine, but when it is continuously flooded with notifications about upcoming payment dates, interest adjustments, and credit score fluctuations, its processing capacity is severely compromised. This persistent, Low-grade biological stress keeps your nervous system in a state of constant survival, making it incredibly difficult to think critically, plan for the long term, or make rational financial decisions. You become desperate, reactionary, and highly susceptible to quick-fix consumer distractions, driving you right back into the hands of the very institutions that thrive on your anxiety. To break this loop and escape the debt trap, you must execute a hard neurological intervention. You cannot rely on conventional budgeting spreadsheets because they do not address the underlying neurochemistry. You must build a highly aggressive cognitive shield designed to force your brain to register the pain of borrowing in real time. The first step in this defense is the future self empathy reset. Since your brain naturally treats your future self as a stranger, you must actively force your mind to recognize the human cost of your current decisions. Before making any non-essential purchase on credit, you must perform a visceral physical calculation. Do not look at the monthly payment. Look at the physical hours of labor required to pay off the entire balance. Force yourself to visually project the image of your future self tired, exhausted, and stuck in a stressful job, forced to work those exact hours just to cover the cost of a temporary whim. By translating numbers back into physical life energy, you bridge the neurological divide and activate the protective rational centers of your brain. The second step is the implementation of the debt isolation protocol. The debt industry relies heavily on the illusion of continuous liquidity, the feeling that your available credit is an extension of your personal net worth. To destroy this illusion, you must mentally and digitally isolate your actual capital from any form of borrowed resource. This requires you to completely delete all pre-approved credit lines, deferred payment accounts, and digital card shortcuts from your devices. You must adopt a strict policy of fictional liquidity, where you mentally subtract every outstanding debt obligation from your active bank account balance. If you have $5,000 in cash but owe $4,000 in various consumer debts, your brain must be trained to recognize that you only possess $1,000. By forcing this mental accounting adjustment, you instantly trigger the brain's loss aversion mechanisms, generating an intense psychological urgency to pay off the debt and restore your true baseline of security. The final step is the cultivation of quiet sovereignty. The debt trap is fueled entirely by the pursuit of empty status symbols, the desire to display a lifestyle you have not yet earned to a crowd of people who do not actually care about your well-being. True wealth is silent, invisible, and completely independent of external validation. When you transition from the exhausting theater of showing off to the quiet security of real, unencumbered capital, your relationship with money completely changes. You realize that borrowed luxury is nothing more than a prison with gold-plated bars. Your credit limit is a highly calculated trap. Your quiet, liquid cash reserve is an absolute fortress. The system desperately wants you to buy your present using your future, keeping you forever dependent on their terms. But the moment you reclaim your future self from the hands of the credit industry, you possess the ultimate form of power, the absolute freedom to say no to anyone, at any time, without ever risking your survival. Let's look at what your brain is doing here as we reach the final verdict. The debt economy was not built by accident. It was meticulously engineered to exploit your biological flaws, keeping you in a state of perpetual financial gravity so that your energy can be systematically harvested by the institutions of control. But now, the mechanism of the trap has been completely exposed. You understand the neurological split, the math of your life energy, and the power of quiet sovereignty. Which leads us to a deeply uncomfortable philosophical question that you must answer within the quiet of your own mind. Are you willing to experience the immediate temporary discomfort of discipline to buy back the ownership of your future? Or will you continue to sell your freedom, hour by hour, to fund the illusions of a present that does not belong to you? Leave your thoughts in the comments below if you are ready to begin the exit protocol. We will keep writing the counterscript.